This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, your place for all things Wisconsin sports. Now, your host, Trage.
How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back here for the October 1st edition of the show here. I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday so far. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend since we last talked last Wednesday there. My weekend, I'm going to call it adventurous and problematic. Let's go with that. Those are the best words I can think of. It was so as you guys know, if you guys have listened long enough, you guys know I'm an electrician. And the wife this weekend, she's like, oh, well, the faucet in the bathroom, the sink faucet, it did a 360 number. It would still work. Like, you could still get it to flip hot to cold, but it would turn a 360. And she's like, well, I really like a new faucet in there. I was like, I can do that, right? You guys know I got it. You work on a dairy farm, like family's dairy farm there. So, I mean, I've done countless things with cow waters, all kinds of stuff in the milk cows. I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. Oh man, that was bad. That got bad fast. Oh man, they got the old copper piping in there. It was disastrous with a capital D. I mean, there was water flying. This little like sink that we have in there, it's like getting underneath of it was impossible for me because I'm not that small of a person. So getting underneath there was impossible. It was rough. It was really rough. And I finally got it. I got it. Knock on wood. It's good. It's good to go. So that was adventurous. We had family pictures the next day. That was great. As you guys know, I like to can. I like to can stuff, canned food there. So I was making apple butter over the weekend. So it ended up great. I didn't realize it takes so long to cook it, though. So that's like a 7-hour adventure. Started at 8:30 on Saturday. Kind of gave up at 12:30 at night on Saturday, and then on Sunday ended up having to finish cooking it. Put it in the fridge, of course, then finish cooking it there. But it ended up great. When it was all said and done, it was great stuff. It was absolutely great stuff there. So it was a good weekend all the way around. Just problematic, adventurous, I'd like to call it. Family pictures were great, like I said. But I mean, outside of that, sports-wise, let's look into sports-wise. The Brewers. Well, let's start. The Packers, right? The Packers end up in a tie with Dallas. We're going to get to that. There was a lot of things we disliked about that one. I don't like the overtime rule. You can tie. I don't like that. I don't understand why, right? You look at college football and they allow the overtime rules. You start with the ball on the 25-yard line. You go in, you try to score. If you score, you kick field goal. The other team has an opportunity to. After that, you got to go for 2 on both ends. You have to score and then go for 2 on both ends there. And then if both teams succeed at that, then you end up going to straight 2-point conversions. And then whoever doesn't get it last, whatever, it ends up being, the loss there. But I like that. I like having a game have a conclusion. It's like watching a movie, right? I got this one show. I can't remember the name of it. The guy from 24 is in it. I think it was called like Rabbit Hole. It was called or something like that was the name of the. Yes, it was. It was Rabbit Hole. That's the name of the show. It was Rabbit Hole. Had 1 season. Fantastic show. Loved it. Loved every second of it. It was on Paramount Plus. Loved every second of it. And it ended. The last episode ended on this cliffhanger. And I was like, I can't wait for season 2. And I never got it. It never came out. I don't know why. They just didn't renew it for a season 2. Which absolutely stinks. Absolutely stinks. It said that viewership numbers weren't high enough. I don't care. I thought it was great. But it's like that. Not having a conclusion to an episode of one of your favorite shows, or not having a conclusion to a movie, and you want to say, oh, I can wait until the next season, but you're not going to get it, right? Because end of the year, I mean, it doesn't really matter now. You're not going to get that chance unless you meet them in the playoffs. But you're not going to get a chance to continue that game to see how it would have ended. So the overtime rules, I don't understand why there isn't some kind of way to, I don't know, like college does, go for 2-point conversions. Maybe you can do that. I said, crazy thinking to myself, I was like, well, why don't we just do kickoffs? Let's just have kickers just go out there, set the ball on the 55-yard line, try to hit it. If you hit it, move them back 5. If they both miss, move them in 5. Then if they both hit, move them back. And just slowly keep working the kickers and just see who wins it there. I mean, get the kickers involved. I'd be okay with that. Just something weird. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Anytime, any portion of the show tonight you want to comment in, make sure you're doing it. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. What do you guys think of the overtime rules in the NFL? Because I feel like there's a better way to go about it than ending it in a tie. Because that just drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely nuts, ending it in a tie. But so the Packers ended a tie. The Brewers, they dropped 3 straight series. The Brewers are kind of, and we're going to talk about it later. You know, fans are saying limping into the postseason, everything like that. So we're going to get into the Brewers a little bit later on in the show here. But the Brewers clinch the number 1 seed in all of baseball for the first time in franchise history. They have home field advantage through the entire postseason. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome to see. I mean, the Brewers just setting, there was stats, and that's this Brewers team all season long. Stats that you didn't even know were a thing. They just kept busting them all season long, setting these new ones, you know, creating whatever. It was just that kind of year for the Milwaukee Brewers. And again, they set another franchise, not a record, but a franchise. They're the first team in franchise history, or first Brewers team, to clinch home field advantage throughout the entire postseason. So that was awesome to see there. In MLB talk, I saw this little fact there. 3 straight years of rising attendance for the MLB. That was pretty cool to see there. The MLB playoff bracket, and this is a question that I had. So this was a question I was given. The MLB playoff bracket was released, and the Brewers right now is the number 1 seed in baseball, or number 1 seed in the NL, would have to, right now they do play the winner of the Padres and the Cubs. And I was asked this. Somebody said, well, why don't they do it where they reseeded after round 1? We've talked about this in a lot of different playoffs, whether it was college football or anything like that. Why don't they not reseed it, but spoke wrong in there. Why don't they allow, like, okay, if the Reds are playing the Dodgers right now, if the Reds were to somehow beat the Dodgers, the number 6 seed, why isn't it the number 6 seed doesn't play the 1 seed, and then the 2 seed would get the winner of the 4 and the 5? The lowest seed plays the Brewers. Basically, the lowest seed plays the highest seed that's left, or that is in there, which is the number 1 seed. Why don't they do something like that? And I was like, yeah, you know, that makes sense. Why would you have the Brewers, if the Reds were to win, they would play the Phillies, and the Brewers would have to play either the best wild card team or the second best wild card team as the number 1 seed? It doesn't make sense. I would be okay with if the MLB said, let's just change this thing up. After the first series, after the wild card series are done, if there's 6 seeds left, they play the 1s no matter what. If you have the 4 and the 5, you know, who the loser of that goes, if the 5 seed wins, they go and play the Brewers, or, you know, they end up playing the 2 seed. That's kind of the way that I would shake it. So I think that's a smart way to do it. I mean, right now, who are you rooting for? Padres or Cubs? That was a question. It's like you want to see the Brewers play the Cubs, but you also don't. I'm kind of like, I don't want to see the Cubs. I really don't, because I don't want that. I don't know if you call it pressure. I don't want to see the Cubs. I really don't. I'd be okay with Padres getting through there. Who did the Brewers match up better with, I guess, would be the question. I'd probably say the Cubs. I would probably say they match up better with the Cubs. If Horton's still out, the pitching staff for the Cubs gets real thin, so maybe you can beat that up. We saw Craig Counsell go to Palencia in like the 5th inning against the against the Padres in game 1 there. So, I mean, you can see Craig make some crazy moves there. The pitching staff gets thin. There's a lot of different things that, I mean, you like about a matchup with the Cubs, but you dislike about a matchup with the Cubs there. So, it's one of those questions that I had was, you know, should they change up that playoff bracket so that way the lower seed ends up playing the higher seed in those games. And I can see where fans kind of have that thought there. Should they, and this was another question I had, so I guess I'm just rolling off questions that fans had over the weekend there that I saw. Should MLB have local broadcasts for playoff games? It's always been the age-old thing, right? Everybody says it every year. They're like, I wish that, you know, Brian Anderson or Bill Schroeder could call this playoff game, stuff like that. And I agree. At the end of the day, it's all a money game, right? The MLB, they want to own the rights. They want to put you on their big stations and allow everybody out there to be able to watch it, which is okay. But I would be okay with, Why can't FanDuel host it? Why can't FanDuel have a broadcast there? Why? I have never understood why not. Why not? Because then MLB would lose money. TBS, whoever it is, if they're holding a game on TBS or Fox or ESPN, they would lose money. That's why. Because fans, if you're a Brewer fan, you're going to watch on FanDuel. Now, maybe you could do it where you could have it, say the game is supposed to be, because I remember the Badgers, when they went to the Final Four, they had a team cast. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Wayne Larrabee who was calling the game. But they had this team cast where you'd be able to, if you were a Kentucky fan, you could watch on like TNT. If you're a Badger fan, you watched on TBS. And then if you didn't care which one you watched on, it was on like True TV or whatever. I don't know. I don't quite remember the combo there. But you get what I mean. You'd have the ability to watch your broadcasters or your Wisconsin guys on that network. Maybe that's something that MLB could look into, is having, ESPN, ESPN2, where they had the Brewers announcers on one, and because they're not, but the problem is that they're not employed by ESPN. So then ESPN wouldn't want to have them. They'd want to have their guys. So I guess I just talked myself out of my own outcome to this. I agree. It is kind of irritating, but I don't know what you do. It's a money game at the end of the day. That's why local broadcasts don't have it. They're probably lucky that they still allow the radio teams to have it. So hopefully, maybe someday we see a way that they get local broadcasters to be able to broadcast games, because that's what the fans want. End of the day, that's what the fans want. And I mean, not being able to see, I know some people don't like Bill Schroeder, but not being able to have Bill Schroeder, Brian Anderson call you a game. They call 162 of them, and then you can't call the postseason. So I can see the problem, the indiscretion with that. So I can see that one there. So I can definitely see that one. I would love to see it. It's just the problem of money comes into it, and then having their guys on the call and everything like that. So, and my biggest irritation with that, these ESPN guys don't know Brewer players. They learn them for the first time when they show up. That's my biggest problem. They know Ohtani, they know Judge, they know Freeman, they know these guys. They don't know Sal Frelick. They just make crap up when he shows up. They're like, oh crap, I got to flip through my papers real fast and figure out Sal Frelick. That's what irritates me the most, is when it gets on these national broadcasts. If they actually took the time and understood these small market teams and actually cared about the game, I'd be fine with them. It's just they don't care. They like, oh, well, don't care. Don't care about this team. It's the Brewers, whatever. But, they're like, oh, Sal Frelick, let's see him. He did this year, and he did this. And it's like, whatever, dude. Like, get out of here. Yeah, that's my problem with the ESPN broadcast. That's why I want local broadcasts. I don't know why everybody else wants them, because they just want to have that home feeling. But for me, it's because these MLB guys, these ESPN guys, they don't care. And I don't feel like they care when I listen to them. They care about big markets. They care about big teams. They care about big players. They don't care about the rest. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one, I guess, to end that little portion there. And then I had one more question that was asked to me over the weekend. We're just rolling off the questions that were asked to me over the weekend here to start out the show. Would you rather see Brewers World Series, a Packers Super Bowl? And I added these two to it. This was a Brewers World Series, a Packers Super Bowl. That one was asked to me. It was sent to me. Somebody, ESPN, I believe Madison posted it, and then it was sent to me. So I was just like, I answered it to the person that sent it to me, and then I posted it to the Facebook page. But I added these two: Badgers football or a men's basketball national title. Which would you rather see? It would be super nice to see Badger football win a national championship, but I just want to see them win a game. So I'm kind of at that point with that. I would say, honestly, for me, it would be between a national championship for men's basketball and a Brewers World Series. And I'd probably say Brewers World Series. That'd be mine. I would go Brewers World Series. But my next would be men's basketball, just because I feel like they've been good. They've been on the cusp, and they're doing good things and trending in the right direction, but they just haven't been able to get over that hump in the postseason. And the Brewers, same thing. So I would say Brewers answer that question. I want to hear what you guys think. Would you rather see a Brewers World Series, Packers Super Bowl, or Badger football or men's basketball title? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that question there. But we have tons to get into tonight here. When we come back from the break, Christian's going to stop by. We're going to talk Badgers. We got Brewers to get to. We got Packers. We got all kinds of stuff. Make sure you're sticking around. Hour number 1 of 2 of Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade is just gotten going. We'll be back after Sports on the Go with Trade. I'm your host, Trade, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, this next segment here is brought to you by a fantastic new sponsor of the show here, and that is 1891 Winery. They celebrate history with flavor. Sip on artisan wines crafted on location, or grab a cold beer and pair it with a giant pretzel or pizza. Catch football or baseball on the big TVs, or join us for live music and special events. Planning something private? They book parties too. That's all you need to know. 1891 Winery, they are fantastic. The folks down there, the owners, they are great. They are great people. Great wine, great food, great atmosphere. Nothing better. Get down to 1891 Winery here soon. They are open Fridays 4 to 7, Saturdays 11 to 6, and Sundays 11 to 5. Follow on Facebook for upcoming events down there at 1891 Winery there. So today we have our fact of the day coming up for October 1st. And let's see what we got here. Our October 1st fact of the day. Yosemite Park was established by the Congress of the United States in 1890 today. There you go. There you go. And also in 1908, the Ford Model T, the car that revolutionized transportation, began to be sold to the public for $825. Now I can't even look at a new one off the line without saying, yep, that ain't going to happen. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. That's kind of where we're at right now. So we got Yosemite National Park being established here on October 1st, 1890. And then the Model T car, Ford Model T car, $825. That is wild. That's crazy to think. That's crazy to think. In 1908, a car, the newest one off the line, $825. And where we are now, you can get heated seats, but I can maybe afford the heated seats in the car. I don't know if I can afford the car, but I can afford the heated seats. So anybody wants to go like 3/4 to a quarter on a car with me, I can afford the seats. There you go. There you go. There. So we got to talk some Brewers here. We were talking the madness off the weekend in that first part of the show. And if you missed any part of the show so far, and you can listen back next day across all podcast platforms. And if you're getting out of the car, whatever, you want to keep listening to the show, just search up 92.3 WOSQ. Go in your Safari or whatever you got there, Google Chrome. You can search it up there, top right corner, hit the play button. You can listen live anywhere you go to 92.3 WOSQ. But if you want to chime in, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on anything happening, Wisconsin sports, national sports, whatever you got for me tonight here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything happening around the sporting world. So let's talk some Brewers here. Brewers fans are starting to, I don't want to say they're starting to, they're concerned. They are mightily concerned over this Brewers team. It hasn't been pretty over the last, I don't want to say month. It hasn't been super pretty over. I mean, you're looking at, they're 4-6 going into the playoffs. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. They had some struggles mixed into there. And fans are concerned. The biggest storyline, I guess, that I saw, and I mean, you look back at what we saw: Cardinals series, Padres series, and then the Red series. They had 3 wins mixed into there, 3-6 in their 9 games there, and then they swept the Angels before that. Fans are on this like, oh, well, are we seeing it again? Are we seeing the Brewers once again go into the postseason cold? You want to sit here and you want to be overly concerned, and I get it. I really do. You don't think everybody's sitting there right now saying to themselves, oh boy, like this team's not hot going to the postseason. You're watching a lot of these other teams right now. They're feeling it going in, and it just looks like the Brewers are on the opposite end of the stick right now. And so here's my thought. Here's my thought on it. The Brewers won 97 games. Now, and this is a quote or a post that I saw, and I think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. number one seed by default because the Phillies lost, the Brewers got in. Like, well, they think they were in anyways, but they ended up getting the one seed off the Phillies losing. And it was like, oh, okay. I can see what you're saying, right? And I said the same thing. The Brewers, they got into the postseason. They technically, when they won the Central, they lost. They got the one seed, they lost. I can understand where fans are a little bit, well, you didn't really do anything to get it. You just lost the game and you had some help. Understandable. The Brewers won 97 games. That's not by default. They played extremely well for 3 months. And then you got they got hot at the wrong time, this and that. And it's like, yeah, okay. The thing with the Brewers, and this is what I don't think a lot of other teams do, is when they're hot, they're hot. I mean, other teams, when they get hot, they're hitting the long ball. But other teams rely on the long ball. The Brewers rely on, and this is what they've kind of gotten away from. And when you look at the statistics of it, you look at the stats, you look deep down. The Brewers, in a lot of their losses, a lot of their like losing streaks or when they're losing games, they're hitting the ball hard. They're actually hitting it harder in those games than they did in that 29-4 stretch that they had. So you almost say, well, they got to hit the ball softer, right? A lot of teams, we saw it against the Padres, we saw it against the Reds. Teams just putting the ball in play against the Brewers, broken bat singles, whatever it was, a bloop, getting it out there. That's what the Brewers, that's where they live. Putting pressure on pitchers, and that's something that I think they got away from. I don't know if it was you want to know that they aren't changing their approach, what got them to this point. Sal just being a guy that just digs deep in a count and will reach back there and get a catcher's interference, or a guy like Terang just slapping it to left, a guy like Yelich being a driving force in there, Contreras being, that guy, just the things that got him this point. Andrew Vaughn, you hope that, Andrew Vaughn, I thought, got away from attacking, right? When he first came in, Pat Murphy was, he told him, just swing like a Neanderthal. Just go up there and just hack. And that's what he did, and he was impressive. You hope that he doesn't try to, I don't know if you want to say be too patient, but you want him to be in that attack mode, to go after guys. And I like that motto. So the Brewers going into this, they can't change that approach. And I think over this last month, in my opinion, I think the approach has kind of been, I don't want to say laid back, because I don't feel like they've been laid back. But you can tell with the pitching usage, who they're pitching. Bruce Zimmerman throws. And then, they had Gassers throwing some in there. Mizorowski coming out of the bullpen, throwing some random guys in out of the bullpen. The Brewers have been trying some things out, trying to just get through games. They haven't had Quintana. Woodruff's been banged up. They haven't had those guys. So now it was about, how can we get through this? Get to the finish line. Now, is that a good way to look at it? Probably not. In the perspective of the Brewers, like, you don't want to just get to the finish line. You want to get to the finish line playing some of your best baseball. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, the Brewers playing the best baseball they've played all season going into the postseason. But that's not saying that a week off here, resetting, getting their minds right? Because this team, you're talking about a team who played 19 games in 18 days. You're talking about a team that it just seemed like the games were never ending, and they had so many comeback wins, and they've been a part of the raw emotion of this season. How it started with Euchre passing away. That's how it started. And then you had the series against the Yankees where you just got they had the worst run differential to ever start a season. They got spanked by the Yankees 3 straight games. I still remember the final game of that series where the Yankees did not lead off the game with a home run. And it was a base hit to right by Paul Goldschmidt. And I think it was Lane Grindle on the radio. And Lane Grindle goes to Josh Mauer and he goes, yeah, they're trying something different today. Not hitting a home run to start it. They're going to try to just, hit a single to start it today. Like, just those, when you heard that, it's like this season is off to a bad start, and the way that it kept going, right? And then they got to that point in May against the Pirates where they came back and won, and it flipped the script. The way that this thing started to where we are now, the raw emotion, everything that's gone into this year, the ups and downs, Woodruff coming back, Woodruff looking like he's gonna, might be hurt again, Mizorowski coming up and having that kind of spark plug thrown in there. You've had so many guys, Sal Frelick carrying the offense, Rhys Hoskins getting hurt. You brought in Andrew Vaughn. He was fantastic. You're waiting for those guys to come back. Quintana coming into the fold, Priester coming into this. I mean, you've had so many moving pieces, guys getting hurt, guys coming back, guys stepping up. This season's been magical. And to say like, it's just going to be another one of those years. I don't know. I got this feeling with this team. I really do. I don't know. We say that a lot, right? We say that a lot. It's like we got this feeling with this team. When you really look at this team, top to bottom, they have all those things that just they fill in the blanks. And I was looking at it the other day. The MVP, like who led in the batting average and who led in this and who led in that, and who's up for MVP. And I was looking at all those, awards, stats, everything like that. And you did not see Brewers across the stat leaders. But then you look at the team stats and you see them on there. And it's like this team wasn't one guy. It was built off of a whole bunch of things working together to make the thing happen. It wasn't going to happen with one guy. Not this team. Not the way that they did it. And that's what I think they've gotten away from. And that's where I think this reset this week that they're going to have before they start that NLDS on Saturday, where if you're going down there, I wish I could get down there. But, excuse me there. American Family Field's going to be bumping. We know that. It's going to be crazy down there. Standing room only. Maybe, if that's even available. You might be able to stand in the parking lot. Maybe, if that's available. It's going to be crazy down there. And this team thrives off of the juice. It's so easy to go back to the, the Brewers, they're reverting back to their old ways, this and that. It's so easy to go with that. Let's look at it and say, what has this team accomplished this year that gives us the reason to believe they can do something in this postseason? Win some games, win a series, get to the NLCS. What are those things that give us that optimism? And it's what we've seen all season long, the little things that they do to beat you, putting pressure on you. And when you get into a postseason game at American Family Field with those blue-collar guys playing for those blue-collar fans, and you get them jacked up in the crowd, and you get a Sal Frelick just putting the ball in play down the third base line on a little dribbler, and that third baseman, whoever it is, whether it's, whether they're playing Manny Machado in the Padres or they're playing the Cubs there with Matt Shaw, or they hit it, a little dribbler, whatever. And they got to try to make that play with a speedster running down the line there, and the crowds roar and everything like that. It's just, those things are what the Brewers do. They put the pressure on you, and that's what they got away from, and that's what I think they got to get back to, putting the pressure on teams, laying the bunt down, those little things that I think is going to make them go far in the postseason here. It's not going to be the long ball. As much as we look at, I believe it was Aaron Boone said, where he's like, oh, you look at the stats, right? You got to hit the long ball to win in the postseason, and then you got Pat Murphy after they won. He's like, we're going to show them it's different. We're going to show them that it's possible to win without the long ball. And that's what the Brewers need to avoid. And that's what they've been, I think they've gotten away from their identity. And that's what we saw. I think that in my opinion, that's what we saw in these series here, where they dropped it to the Padres and they dropped that other one there. They dropped that game to the Padres. They dropped the series to the Padres, dropped that series to the Cardinals, and dropped the series to the Reds. I think they got away from what's made them special. So getting back to that is going to be the key thing for this Brewer team moving forward. So we got more Brewers to get to tonight here. Don't worry. We're going to talk more Brewers here in hour number 2. Next up here, Christian's going to stop by. We're going to talk some Badgers. Then we're going to wrap up the hour. And then in hour number 2, we're going to jump back into the Brewers. We'll be right back here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, this next segment here, Christian stopping by. We're talking some Badgers here. This next segment is brought to you by Casa M Spice, the low sodium, clean label, no fillers, no MSG. This stuff is fantastic. It's the real deal. I'm telling you what, get down to an Ace Hardware, get to any Ace Hardware, Foreman's, especially Foreman's, get down to Foreman's Hardware. They're in Loyal, Kobe, or Medford, or check them out across their social media platforms out there. You can order Casa M Spice. Check out all the food that I share on Facebook. I mean, I'm sharing it every single weekend. I'm making ribs. I'm making briskets. Anything imaginable you can make with Casa M Spice. I spice up my salsa. I spice up my eggs. I haven't tried it on ice cream yet because they told me probably don't try it on ice cream, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. I don't care what they say. I'm going to do it anyways. Just try it. Casa M Spice. They are fantastic. Low sodium. You get kind of steered away, but you gotta give her a try. I don't know what kind of concoction they threw together to make this stuff taste so great, but it is fantastic. Trust me on that one. Casa M Spice there. So Christian is here tonight. We're talking a little Badger. Christian, how we doing? It's Wednesday, middle of the week, getting close to the Badgers coming off the bye week. So I guess, how we doing?
Not too bad. I didn't have to watch the Badgers play football last weekend, so we're good, right?
I texted Christian on Saturday, and I was like, man, do you think they're going to pull off that game versus Bye today? I heard that's like Bye's like favored by 6.5 right now.
Yeah, they're about 7-point underdogs, right, against the bye week.
It's like, oh boy, I don't know if they can pull this one out. This team looks tough. This team looks really tough. But all jokes aside, we're hoping that we see some better stuff here coming off the bye. We're hoping maybe they regrouped. They got the injury bug figured out. They maybe get some guys back. They said Luke Fickell was talking. He's working with some of the young guys now. So maybe we see some young guys get introduced. I don't know if we're going to see like a Hunter Simmons maybe get thrown in at quarterback because what's working or what's here is not working. So maybe flipping something. I don't know. Who knows? But let's start out with some bad / could be good news. I don't know. The bad news is, then this is flipping over to Badger basketball, men's basketball. Kirk Penny is on his way out. Not that he's getting fired or not that he's taking a job elsewhere. He's going back home overseas where he's going to he wants to spend more time with family. We all know it. Like these coaches nowadays, they don't get many days off. And if he's spending a lot of time in Wisconsin, he doesn't get to spend a lot of time with his family back home there. So Kirk Penny on the way out, but Brad Davidson coming onto the coaching staff. And a lot of mixed, I guess, reactions, especially to the Brad Davidson coming onto the staff. So I guess, Christian, I'll start right there. Thoughts on Kirk Penny on the way out, but Brad Davidson on his way in. Thoughts of the effects of both of those moves there for the Badger basketball team.
Huge loss, at least offensively. He's been kind of like, ever since Penny's been with the program, he's been a huge part in the architect of their offense, like turning around that offense from, being that slow swing, milking the shot clock down, limiting possessions, to being the more fast-paced team that they are. That's Kirk Penny right there. Now, I don't think because he's leaving I don't think they're going to go back to what they were at. I think they're going to keep trying to do what they were doing, but I think it definitely hurts a little bit just because, he was the guy that ran that, right? So, I'm sure they'll try to run the same kind of stuff, but I don't know if it'll still be the same, like as effective.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I hope that he still stays around in some capacity. Maybe Greg Gard's got him on the horn or something. He's watching practices. He's seeing that kind of stuff. I would expect maybe he stays in that kind of capacity with the Badgers because you can see he does enjoy like his job. He enjoys it. It's just the time away from home is the sucky part for him. So like you said, and we all know it, the offense completely changed when Kirk Penny came in. So hopefully they don't try to let's bring in somebody else and try to change this. Let's Luke Fickell this thing. Like, no. Keep it the way we're going. This is trending in the right direction. Let's keep this thing going. So I completely agree there. Brad Davidson coming in. I love that move. I do. And it's simple because Brad Davidson, when you watched him play, it was the toughness. It was the tenacity. It was the getting after it kind of guy. I think that is something that's getting guys are getting away from that in the game of college basketball because they're getting away from in the NBA, the toughness factor. And especially when you play in a league like the Big Ten where officiating, when you go to like Mackey Arena or stuff like that, they don't care anymore. They kind of swallow the whistle, which is okay. But Brad Davison was a great guy to teach you to play through that, to be tough, right? He dislocated his shoulder every game and just pop back in and get back out there and play. I mean, the guy's a little different when it comes to that kind of stuff. But, I mean, the thoughts of Brad Davison coming into the program to work in some capacity in a coaching role, what do you think?
I think it's awesome. I know that him and Guard have always had a really good relationship and everything. So, like, when they announced it immediately, it didn't surprise me even a little bit. You've always known that Davison's wanted to get back into coaching. That's not really been a secret. He always wanted to. So he kind of figured eventually he'd work his way back to Madison because he has that really good relationship with Guard. So I figured that's, where he would start. So like you said, again, our offense is going to take it because that's not Brad Davison, right? But I think he's going to bring like something different to the coaching staff too. And like you said, it might be that physicality or just the mental toughness of, just getting the Big Ten schedule. So he's been there, he's played it. So I love the move. Hopefully he can recruit, right? I know Kirk Penny was huge in like recruiting overseas. Like he was kind of spearheading that, and Wisconsin was kind of ahead of the curve. Then a lot, now you see college basketball just kind of catching up with that. Everyone's kind of recruiting overseas. But Wisconsin was starting to kind of do that early on. They got Hayden Jones coming in from New Zealand, and they got another kid too that's was it Jackson Ball? He'll be here the next year, I think. Both New Zealand guys, so Kirk Penny's a huge part of that. So maybe, I don't know, like you said, maybe he'll be maybe he can be kind of Greg Gard's scout over there, and just even though he's living over there, you can still recruit for him.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe he's just recruiting closer to home now. I don't know. Maybe he just wants to be over there all the time to watch him, send him over to Madison. But yeah, I agree. And, Brad Davison with the Minnesota ties, bringing some of the Midwest players around, the different style of players, right? And that's what Brad Davison was when he was in Madison, a different style of player. So bringing those kinds of guys into a program, definitely worth it. End of the day, it's definitely worth it to have guys like that in your program. So I love that move too. So let's get off of the Badger basketball. Let's look over at volleyball's off to a great start. So that's cool. That's great. I mean, they're off to a great start. They've been having we've been watching me and the wife been watching a couple of matches there so far, and our sets, whatever. My lingo's way off. I don't know. I'm in baseball, football, everything. Matches sounded right. It sounded right. And then I changed it. Sets within the matches. I'm there now. I'm there. It's like hockey started doing. I'm like, I can't.
There's so much going on.
I can't try to be involved in this one here. So volleyball's off to a great start. That's awesome to see. I saw wrestling was ranked. I don't know how. Wrestling was ranked number 20, I believe. The wrestling program at Wisconsin, and this is the nicest way possible of ever saying this. So I don't want, if anybody's a big wrestling fan out there, I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to offend you right now. But the wrestling program has been terrible. So I have no idea how they got punched in at number 20, but I saw a thing that they were number 20. So that's cool. And then I saw that they added to the bottom of that graphic that the Wisconsin Badgers put out there, and it said like football, and it was like 362 or something like that on it. So I was like, oh, man.
Yikes.
Oh, the football program's rough. That's all we know. So let's get to the football. Let's talk about
let's talk about it.
Yeah. So let's just start out with Luke Fickell had a press conference, his opening press conference coming off the bye week, looking ahead to the Michigan game. It's Michigan press conference. And he was talking about protecting his players, which protecting his players, and especially protecting his players from themselves. And as we were talking at commercial break, he said this a while ago too, that he wanted to protect his guys from themselves, especially a guy like Billy Edwards. But he said this, and then he knew, and almost saying that he knew that Billy Edwards wasn't ready to go for the Maryland game, still proceeded to allow him to go out there and play. And as we saw, Billy Edwards tried to escape the pocket. It wasn't there. And we saw it. He re-injured himself, out again. Back out. I don't know. That irritates me. Like, you are, I don't know. I don't want to say he's lying. I don't want to say he's like lying about everything that he's saying right now. But you're preaching one thing and you're doing another. And I don't know. I don't know what are your thoughts on that, I guess? What are your thoughts on that, Christian?
I think Fickell's trying to coach for his job. Like, honestly, I don't think Maryland was a game they could drop, which they did, and it was ugly. And I think he's looking at that. He's looking at his schedule and goes, yeah, it's going to be a rough year. Like, I have to win the games that we should win. I don't know if maybe I don't know if he has any confidence in Danny O'Neill or not, but obviously he thought because he talked about that as soon as as soon as Billy Edwards Jr. got hurt against Miami, and he was talking about how he's a competitor, we're gonna have to protect him against himself, all that stuff, and then they start talking about him coming back, and like I put out on Twitter, I'm just like I'm not sure why you would want to do this, like if he's not like ready. You have a bye week the next week and then get ready for Michigan, right? Like why rush this thing? And I got crucified. Like people are like, oh, because you need to win Maryland, you need to do this. I'm like, but what if he gets hurt? Then what? Everyone's like, well, you need to win this. I'm like, if he gets hurt, then whatever. This season's over anyway. Regardless, who cares, right? But so I think part of me is like, I wonder if he's like, I don't want to say desperate because whatever, but like he feels the pressure. He's like, I got to win this game. Like Billy Edwards Jr. gives me the best chance to do that. Maybe that kind of helped Edwards talk him into it, because I have no doubt that Edwards also was probably like in his ear, like I'm ready. So maybe between the two things, he probably folded and was just like, yeah, let's do it, and then he played 10 snaps and he was back out already. And now did he re-aggravate it, or is it just more of like I know I'm just not there, or is it, because he was in street clothes the second half. So
yeah, like he was done. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Fickle's feeling the pressure a little bit, and I think he was kind of like, I have to get this win, so Billy Edwards gives me the best chance to do it. So he risked it.
I can completely see that. And I think I don't want the desperate was like a word you didn't want to use, but I didn't want to say it. Feeling. It's the feeling that you had when you were like, this is why he did it, because he feels the pressure. He's like, my job's on the line. My fans are starting to get irritated. They can only yell for so long. So, yeah, I completely agree there. It's just that quote that he had, and he said it multiple weeks ago, and then he just basically goes against his word. And it's like, okay, how many other things have you told me that's not actually happening? Because I heard from you that the quarterback battle between Braden Locke and Tyler Van Dyke last year was neck and neck. And then I watched Braden Locke play, and I was like, this cannot be neck and neck, because otherwise Tyler Van Dyke is pretty darn bad. So, it's just those things where it's like, what else are you telling me that's not right? That's not right at all. So, okay, yeah, I like that one there. Let's look at what's coming ahead. Okay, so they're going to move on, hopefully, from that Maryland loss. I don't know how you do, because the rest of the schedule gets very ugly very fast. Michigan coming up next, then you have Iowa, then you have Ohio State, then you have Oregon. That's all in a month's time. Oh, man. Okay. So we look ahead from here. The wins don't look like they're coming plentiful. But what are some of the things, I guess, that we want to see from here? Because this has got to be, I don't know what rock bottom looks like, but if we aren't there, I don't want to see it at this point. Where do you got to see this team get to, I guess? What do you want to see from this team? Because this stretch of games, you're going to Ann Arbor to play Michigan. Iowa just played a darn good game against Indiana, probably could have won that game. Indiana just had a last-ditch effort right there to beat Iowa, and that's a really good team in Indiana. Ohio State, they've buried teams that, that's all I need to say there. And then Oregon is,
number 2.
You might lose Oregon. That might be 65-0. I don't even know. Like that could be
like right now, the AP poll right now, we have Ohio State and Oregon back to back as the number 1 and 2 teams in the country.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be knock off the number 1 team and number 2 team back-to-back weeks. Come on.
Then Fickle will have people lining up to kiss his feet after that if he pulls that off.
Right. You better just throw us in the college football playoff, because we have head-to-head wins versus Ohio State and Oregon.
We shouldn't have to play the rest of the schedule. We should just be in.
We're done. So I guess, just hearing that, we all have our own thoughts about that, everybody listening, and you have your own thoughts on that. We want to hear your thoughts. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. Let us know your thoughts on the Badgers, what you want to see coming up here. But Christian, what do you want to see from this team moving forward, advancement, everything like that?
I think the thing I want to see the most is something that's probably the least likely. Is I want to see the running game come back. That's what Grimes is supposed to be known for, right?
Yep.
But they got a banged up offensive line. You're on your third string center. I get it, but like at the same time, you can't run the ball against Miami or Middle Tennessee. Like, you can't run the ball against them. Like, I understand maybe struggling with Alabama and struggling like Maryland. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. That's what Wisconsin's supposed to be. Offensive line, running back, running back you, right? Offensive line you. That's what they are. That's what they're supposed to be. And those two have probably been like the worst aspects of the entire team so far this year. Their offensive line sucks. They can't do anything in the running game, even though they have Darian Dupree, Dylan Jones, Katie Akamelli, like these guys who are supposed to be pretty good. They can't do anything. So and of course now we're going to go Michigan, who's, tough defensively. Iowa, tough defensively. Ohio State, tough. So it's like,
yep.
I want to see the run game improve, but the next 4 teams, honestly, I don't see it happening.
There's the Maryland game was your chance to improve, right? Those were the games where you're like, you got to see the improvement. And now you're at, like you just said, a stretch of games where it's like, this is the hardest part of the schedule to try to turn it around, to find something, is when you back it up with Michigan. Then you play Iowa, one of the better defenses in the Big Ten. And then you play Ohio State, who is all around. And then Oregon, who is all around and just beat Penn State. So, I mean, these are some darn good teams across the board. I would completely agree. It's the seeing this team look like they're progressing in the right direction, seeing players. And that's where I'm kind of at right now. It's like, you don't want to say like you don't want to win games, but I'm not worried about winning football games right now, to be honest with you, because the season's done. I mean, after you lost to Maryland, and then I've seen the crap show that was you look back to Middle Tennessee, that was second half. That was second half that looked good. Miami of Ohio, I mean, that could have been a loss. That was just an ugly start to the year. And I mean, you lost Billy Edwards. I understand that your offensive line's been banged up, but I mean, man, oh man, when you can only run outside the tackles, when you can't even go anywhere inside, what are you trying to open up? You're never going to be able to get anything else going in this offense if you can't just run the ball at least for 5 yards. I mean, I don't even know what their average yards right now is, but I'd imagine around 2. That's
what I was going to say. Probably like 2 something.
3.1.
If we're lucky.
There you go.
3.1. That's of that. Yeah. And how much of that too is like Danny O'Neal running or like outs, end arounds or reverses with receivers that pick up 10 yards.
Yep. Nope. Yep. I'm 100% with you. Like this run game needs to find it somewhere. And that's what I'm saying. Like just seeing, that's what I want to see from here on out is just a progression of this team looking like they're working towards something, getting better. I don't care. You lost to Maryland. Like I don't even care about the wins and losses at this point. I just want to see this team get better week after week, see like this team is progressing in that right direction, because otherwise, end of this season, I have nothing to vouch for Luke Fickell. I have nothing. There's nothing. If this team does not look like they're improving, this was a season where we said it point blank, we're like, there's some look like they could win some games on here, but all in all, this is a really tough schedule. It's going to be hard to win these games. We just want to see this team play competitive games. They didn't even play competitive against Maryland. So we got to see this team play some competitive games against the Iowas, the Minnesotas, whoever it is, see them play some competitive games moving forward here for us to feel comfortable with this team moving forward into next season there. So let's just look ahead to Michigan real quick here before I got to let you go. Is there anything, I guess, in particular you're looking for in this game against Michigan? He's I don't even know.
Yeah, that's so hard. It's like, I want to see the run game. Like, God, dude, like, it's so hard to be even relatively optimistic about anything with this.
Yep.
I just hope we don't get blown out. Like, if we can keep it, 2 touchdowns or less, I'll be happy. I would be happy with that. But
100%. I think it's a game where Oregon, I think Oregon's going to curb stomp. Like, if I had to be completely honest, and this is my nicest way possible as a Badger fan, diehard, I'm going to watch every game. Oregon's going to curb stomp them. Ohio State's going to stomp them. This is a game against Michigan where I know it's in Ann Arbor and it's going to make it really hard to do anything in this game, but I feel like it's going to be closer just because young quarterback and Bryce Underwood, I feel like they're going to be able to keep it. I don't think Michigan's going to bury them. They might they might score 35 points. They might score. I just don't feel like Ohio State, Oregon, I have no optimism at all that it's going to be anywhere near close. I could see it being 63-0 in the Oregon game just because that's how fast they are, and I just think they're going to blow us away. Michigan, I don't know if they blow you away. I think a young quarterback, maybe you can get to him. Maybe you can rattle him a little bit. The defensive line's played well at times. Rieger's been good. They just have those stupid penalties, right? So, I hate using the word stupid, but if you can avoid those silly penalties, I mean, it's the Alabama game. You can avoid the silly penalties. You can get out of drives. You can get off the field. Those are the things that maybe against a team like Michigan with Bryce Underwood, a young quarterback, maybe you can take advantage of. So there's some things that I think you can not optimism. I don't think they're going to win this game in Ann Arbor, but I think they can do some things in there that we will walk away from it saying, okay, they're progressing in the right direction. And I think that's what we're kind of both looking for in this one here. So Christian, thank you as always for hopping on. Let the people know where to find you out there across social media.
Yeah, you can follow me out on Twitter, Blue Sky, all the socials at Christian Borman or at the Badger Backer. Hopefully starting to get some best stuff back up here, getting rolling. It's hard to find some motivation to write about the Badgers, right? But
Badger basketball's right around the corner. That's all
there
we got to remember.
We're close.
Badger basketball's back. Media Days coming up here pretty soon. We're going to have Media Days to talk about here pretty soon for Badger men's basketball. So that's exciting stuff right there. So Christian, thank you as always. We'll be back here after the quick commercial break. We're going to wrap up hour number 1. Look ahead to hour number 2. We'll be right back here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, if you missed any portion of the show, that last segment with Christian or any other portion of the show here, make sure you are listening back next day across all podcast platforms. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. You can also find us across all social media platforms. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, Wisco Sports on the Go. You can find it across all social media platforms. And if you want to text into the show at any portion of the night here, if you have a question, comment, anything like that, you want to comment in, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914 there. So we're wrapping up the hour number 1 here. This next segment here is brought to you by Foreman's Hardware. They offer you everything from home essentials to farm supplies. House to farm, grills to drills, Foreman's Hardware has got you covered. Visit today in Loyal, Kobe, or Medford, Wisconsin. There, tell them I sent you. Get 5% off. Find your costume spice down there. Find your tools. Friday Frenzy happening right now. Right now, they're hiding a little stuffed animal around the store there. If you got a kid, get down there, you find that stuffed animal, you can get entered, or you get a prize. You get a prize there. So they have tons of exciting stuff there happening down at Foreman. So we have in this we're going to wrap it up here for hour number 1. But this little portion, we're going to do the fan zone, and that is brought to you by Marshfield Motor Speedway, the half-mile paved track just 3 miles west of Marshfield on County Road H. Find upcoming events and races at Marshfield Speedway there. So the fan zone, we had a couple questions come in. I'm going to answer them quick because we only got a little bit of time here. If the Brewers don't make the World Series, is this season a bust? I'm going to answer this one more thoroughly for you in the next segment here after the top of the hour, but I'm going to say no. There's stipulations, but I'm going to say no. So we're going to answer that one more thoroughly. Better better trade. I tried to say accusation. Right words. Better trade this season for the Brewers. Priester or Vaughn? Man, that's tough. I'm going to have to go Quinn Priester. That's tough. That's really tough. I'm going to go Priester, but you could say Vaughn. You can make an argument for both. But yeah, I would go Priester. Just because he has been dominant on the mound at times. And he's been like that guy where when you're losing games, he can get you that win. Almost basically an ace of the staff. So Priester has been fantastic. But you could go Vaughn. I can completely see that one there. Best outcome for Badger football. I'm going to go best outcome. They continue to improve and find a way to, just look better week in and week out. That's all you can do. Look better week in and week out. I don't know if there's a lot of wins left on the schedule, but just looking better week in and week out is about what I'm looking at right now. So yeah, there you go. There's a couple questions that we had there. If you want to get involved in the fan zone, make sure you hit us up 715-990-4914 or message us across all social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you. So that is hour number 1. We're wrapping up hour number 1. Hour number 2, Brewer Talk coming at you after the commercial break here. We're gonna hit the Brewers. After that, we're gonna hit the Packers. Kyle's gonna stop by. We're gonna wrap up the show. Tons of stuff to get to in hour number 2 here. We'll be right back here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage.